Good evening and welcome back to Prime of Midlife. Excuse me. It is Wednesday evening, and this evening I am a tad irked, I have to say. And I'm a tad irked about big companies and money and governments. And where that's come from is if you've seen the news in the UK today, you'll see that Thames Water is struggling. Now, Thames Water for the last few years has made some really decent profits, and shareholders have been enjoying the benefits of such profits. But Thames Water has a lot of work to do because it hasn't kept up with its maintenance. There's still many leaks in the pipework, which means in good weather there's water restrictions, etc., a lot quicker than there should have to be. And it's not just Thames Water, don't get me wrong. Pretty much all the private water companies have done that. They've sold reservoirs, they've taken loans on, they've got themselves into debt, but the shareholders are having a really good time of it. And I mean, it irked me at the best of times. But this morning, as I got up, I was listening to Times Radio because I've sort of gone off the BBC and Sky doesn't particularly have a radio station. So I thought, right, I'll listen to Times Radio. And they had someone on talking about the water companies, and I was getting washed and dressed at the time, so I wasn't 100%. But basically, the line that I heard was the millions and millions of debt that Thames Water is in roughly equates to the amount of dividends they have paid out to shareholders. Funny that, isn't it? So that just seems to me to be, how is this happening? How is this that these industries, because they did it with the electricity companies as well, let's do the smaller electricity companies and they can increase competition and you'd have these smaller electricity companies, and we all know what happened when the cost of electricity went up. So it seems that there's a lot of companies that used to be nationalised, got privatised. People have made a lot of money out of the privatisation. The companies, however, have been left with a whole lot of debt and not a lot of money. I think the amount of 40% increase in the water costs and the water bills was getting bandied about this morning. Now, that's bad enough. But then you look at the other things. There was also another report on the schools. Schools are, I think it was in England, they did the National Audit Office did a survey, and there are thousands of pupils, school pupils, in schools where it's so dangerous that they cannot guarantee the roof's not going to fall on their head, or that a wall's going to come down, or that there's going to be some serious structural damage soon. They talked to one woman who was head of a couple of schools down south somewhere. Their school's full of asbestos, and they can't do anything about it. Sorry, you'll have to excuse the flies, I need to get rid of them. They can't do anything about it because the council doesn't have money, so the children are in this unsafe building. And I'm just getting a bit fed up of how often it comes that we, the normal everyday working people, are having to pay to pick up the pieces after companies have been privatised and paid their dividends, paid their ridiculous wages or salaries to their directors, over £1 million a year or something the water director got, who's just resigned. But who's going to have to pick up the pieces of this company? That'll be the taxpayer. That's me. Now, they're trying to charge us more than an extra 40% on the water bills because they've enjoyed the dividends. And then the taxpayers get to pick it up. That's not fair. And as for the rubbish that's coming out with oh, it's higher wages that's keeping inflation raised. No, it's not. And I don't know how you can expect that we can pay these increased costs for food, for housing, etc., but you expect us to stay in the same wages. Oh, we'll increase your water bill by 40%. How do they think we're paying for that? Because by goodness, my wages have not increased by 40%. I don't know anyone whose has. So there's all this going on, and I'm like, why is this always coming back to us? It always seems to be coming back to your basic taxpayer. And they're like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. It's like the housing market. The interest rates have gone up so much just now that a lot of people who were thinking of buying can no longer get a mortgage. People who were thinking of selling, there was a report today where they're averaging a 5% reduction in price to try and sell the house, to try and get it off the market. So yeah, I'm just having a thing at the moment that there seems to be a whole swathe of people who have enjoyed a really good life, getting dividends, getting good money, getting all this. And now that things aren't working out, now that they're actually being held to account, they're going to fail. And the government's going to have to bail them out, which means we're bailing them out. Exactly the same as happens. Remember years ago with that man that bought British Home Stores for £1? But he didn't have to take on the pension. And that's why you see the guy from Sports Direct, he didn't buy, what was it, Fraser's, I think, until they went into administration. Because once they went into administration, he was no longer responsible for the pension fund. The government took that on. So yes, I'm a tad irked. So that is my thing. I am going to go make a cup of tea and read something happy to make me feel better. Catch you later.